One very common theme that's come up from speaking to product managers recently is how to actually integrate user feedback and data into our product process. We have, as a product manager, we're busy. We have pressure from other stakeholders, pressure from the fact that we have a long backlog, endless list of tasks to do sometimes, and obviously pressure to achieve our objectives. So as a result, most teams give up pretty quickly on running an effective product process, right? So evaluating their work, to say, well, what happened with this feature? What was the impact? And measuring and defining success. So, why are we building this feature? What do we expect to happen? What did happen once that has been built? So today we'll be looking at the Product Kata, really a framework, let's say, for building better products. Helping you with this process for integrating things like A/B testing or user interviews, making sure that everything we do is really focused on an objective rather than just running a team, what we call a feature factory, right, where we just build a massive list, an endless list even, of product features. And this is more important than you may realize, because a lot of studies show that 50 to 70% of features we work on will either have zero impact or a negative impact on your key metric, right? So 50 to 70% will have zero or a negative impact. So if we are not measuring the impact of each idea, each feature we work on, then there is a more than 50% chance that we are in fact damaging our product. So it's essential to integrate this idea of setting a goal and measuring that goal with every single thing we do, even if we feel the pressure of time, we feel the pressure from other stakeholders, we feel the pressure from a bloated backlog. So to achieve this, as I said, we use the Product Kata. So a simple framework to achieve this process of creating an idea, working out how to test it, building it, measuring the result, and then using that outcome, right, that learning, to inform what we do next. So this was developed by Melissa Perry, who's CEO at UX Prod. So check out her blog, just Google her name, and some really nice resources will appear there. So let's look at where this comes from. So Product Kata essentially comes from Toyota and the manufacturing process. So they realized that if they iterated with the development of cars, for example, then they got better at it, the process got better. And it's really based around these concepts of, understanding the direction, what are we trying to do broadly on a high level? Where are we currently at? What is the next target condition we want to aim for? And then moving towards it by taking small steps. Right, so say our vision is up here, we're currently here. What's the first small step we can take to achieve it? What that looks like in practice in product teams, and we'll move on to a framework after this, but just to sort of keep high level, is firstly we need to understand, what is the company doing? What's the vision here? What can we in our team focus on to help the company achieve that vision? So say, for example, it is Uber company vision of making transport accessible for everyone. What's our product KPI? Maybe it's launching self-driving cars, launching cheap bikes spread around cities. Right? So it's that sort of one level down specific goal for our team. Generally speaking, for you guys, it's going to be something even more specific. So like increasing sign-up conversion, something like that, something very, very specific. So as I said, we sort of set our true north. We understand, where are we at now? Because if we don't have that knowledge of users, of having conversations with them, of looking at the data, then we have no idea how we're going to actually achieve that goal. We're blind in a way. Then once we have a good understanding of once we've mapped the terrain, have an understanding of what the users are currently doing, we can then set our first goal. So, we're not going to aim to increase sign-up conversion by 500%. What's the first small thing we can do to nudge us towards that, increase by 1%, 5%, etc. And then finally, the actual process of execution will come in later. So what that looks like is a framework we can use within whichever product this is the framework, but it can be applied into Trello cards, Jira tasks, any other project management tool you're using. You can use this, and I'll show you how we are using this afterwards, specifically. So whenever we're kicking off a new, let's say, a new what we call a product initiative, right? We've finished up, let's say, our old sprints, and we're saying, okay, what do we do next? What's our sort of higher level goal? And what we do is take these two high level options here. So we set a goal, something generic, and then a target condition. So specifically, what does that goal look like in data? So what I'm going to do here is just show you, this is literally how we started the company before, with this exact goal, target condition, and process. So I'm going to talk you through it. So first of all, we set a goal, which at Product Mastery was basically saying, okay, we have a rough idea of what we want to do, as product managers ourselves. We feel we know what the problem is. However, when it comes to, for example, setting up a website or a product, we need to understand, okay, well, what is the value proposition that resonates with target audience? Product management is a very broad area. What specifically, what messaging, what solution that we could offer will resonate with the target audience? So see, this is quite broad. We're not talking specifically about any metric here. Now, when we come to target condition, we are setting a very clear metric. Right, so at this early stage, we're not talking about selling the product, we're not talking about retaining people, we're simply saying, okay, look, we need to just roughly offer something that people are interested in. So we want a value proposition that resonates. Now we can measure that, or we decided to measure that in our case with sign-up conversion. So if we reach out to somebody and we have a website, what is the conversion there? Right, so say we put up a really basic landing page, converted at 10%. We think it's realistic to actually triple that, because the first one was just a rough idea. And we think by really understanding our users, we'll be able to hit that 30%. Now, when it comes to execution, so this will be our ongoing goal for, let's say, a 2-3 month period, or until we achieve this target condition. Now, a level down, so this will be, agreed with, let's say, your boss and your team, to make sure that, okay, how does this goal tie into the company objective? Now, obviously, because we're a small team, we have only one product team, so this is our upper management and execution team agreeing upon these. Now, when it comes to execution, what we are doing is running our first iteration cycle, right? Everything in this line. So by that, we simply start. Notice we're not talking about tasks here, about things, about features. We're talking about objectives and measuring success. So first we say, okay, well, what is our current condition? We've got no value proposition. We don't really know what we're going to offer. What is the obstacle? Well, we have no data to inform this, right? We're just running off our own experience as product managers, which is a good place to start, but it's not, at the end of the day, we are not our target customers. So therefore, considering we have no data to inform this, what is the next step? We said, okay, well, let's reach out to 20 PMs on LinkedIn and ask for a user interview, just to explore, okay, what's your challenge at the moment related to product management, which tools do you use, etc. Now, this is really important, the expected phase, that we talk about this before we even work on a solution, or as we work on this, or talk about the solution, that we need to the expected outcome is concrete here. It's understanding of core user problems to inform our value proposition. Value proposition being, what is that big opening statement on our website? Now, once we've defined these things, we then go and execute on this step and see whether we achieve the expected outcome. In the learning column, we would then obviously include what we learned from this. So considering we reached out to 20 PMs on LinkedIn for a user interview, we expected to understand the core user problem, did that happen? And we said yes. We got 5 user interviews, and the main problems reported were related to prioritization and communication. Now what we do is start the cycle again. So we go back to current conditions. So where are we at now? Well, we actually now have a value proposition. What's the obstacle? Well, it's not validated, right? We have an idea, but what people say in an interview doesn't necessarily mean it will work on the website, or maybe the audience is different, etc., etc. What is the step? So we're going to run, let's say, A/B test on different value proposition, focused on prioritization and communication, right? Linked to our learning from before. See here how we have not defined what we work on until we've derived a learning, right? Because we are taking steps. We're not simply getting through a long to-do list in our backlog. We are acting on the learning. So we're taking steps, moving further and further, closer and closer to our objective here. What's the expected outcome? Well, let's say increase sign up conversion from, say we're at 10% now, to 15 is a good objective. Again, this is the first iteration. We've only had 5 conversations. We're not going to expect to triple our sign-up conversion that quickly. And what would the learning be? Well, okay, we set up the A/B test as part of our setting up the landing pages, and we say, okay, well, let's measure that once 50 or 100 web visitors have gone through that funnel, and we can set a very specific goal there. So you can see here how it seems simple, right? It seems very basic English here, but what we're doing is creating a habit of going through this cycle so that every single conversation that before may have been related to a task, feature, like getting stuff done, is now really about the learning. So we go through every time we're like, how do we get the learning? Which experiment should we run? Like, how do we quickly and easily derive a learning? We're not talking about features, we're talking about experiments. As I said, this framework can be applied very easily within your existing project management tool. We're using a simple Kanban on to-do list, in progress, waiting results completed, 4 columns, and everything comes from a template that we've set up. It's defining the objective, what's the current state, obstacle, step, expected outcome, learning, as we have here. And only then do we have the to-do list of, okay, well, what do we actually need to do? So, for example, create new landing page design, set up A/B test on Netlify, maybe ABC test, right? Check that's working. So, send to somebody else to just check, yeah, what do you think of the wording? Is this working on mobile, desktop, etc.? Then we launch it. Say, for example, we're focusing on an email update. So we put that in progress once it's being worked on. When it's live, being launched, maybe we need to wait, for example, a couple of days to see the results. So we put it in this column. Once we've derived the results, we then put it in completed, and we actually archive those learnings below so that when new team members come in future, so we're always looking ahead, they can see the history of learning. So all the experiments we've run down here, there's a nice history of that for somebody to learn from. Anyway, I hope that helps. Please add any comments, any questions, and I will be more than happy to help out and respond.